Let's face it, the early 2000s were troubling times for video games. Sure, it never came close to the sea of mediocre slot machines disguised as video games that the late 10s became, but still, all the innovations of the 90s were beginning to fade away, and the new status quo of generic ADS realistic and tactical shooters like COD and Battlefield was beginning to set in. But oh, don't get me wrong, these two franchises were breakthroughs at their time, that stood alongside giants that were Half-Life and Doom. They were certainly innovative at a time where the norm was fast-paced arcade gameplay. Oh, and then there were also games like Rainbow Six and Deus Ex, which were just... What I'm really talking about is how this formula of a two-gun inventory, free grenades, reloading, crouching and proning, having thousands of weapons that all played the same, started there. And I mean, there's nothing inherently wrong about that. I enjoyed COD on my old 360. I liked playing Phantom Force as an entry point. I mean, at least until Roblox cut off wine support. But there's something just so bland about it, you know? Maybe it's the oversaturation, or maybe the unending need for maximum profit, slowly stripping away everything we love from video games to creating more efficient, wallet-draining machine. Or maybe there's just something these games get wrong. Anyways, because of all of these, I headed into Republic Commando with low expectations. I knew it came from the same time period as stuff like KOTOR and Empire at War, but I also knew it was bound to be a hellish experience, either because it didn't translate quite right over the past 20 years, or because it was gonna be just another ADS, shoot, reload, repeat simulator. Boy oh boy, was I wrong. So, just before we start, the footage I use in this video was captured using Republic Commando Remastered, a mod that upscales some textures, replaces some models, and adapts the HUD to support 16:9 better. I actually only installed this for the video, and you can play the game totally fine without it, but I figure not everyone would like to have their eyes assaulted with 2005 graphics. But yeah, to the game. Republic Commando is a 2005 first-person shooter from LucasArts that takes place in the Star Wars universe during the Clone Wars. You remember the prequels? You know how cool they were, with hundreds of Jedi running around, swinging their lightsabers, epic large-scale battles, trade disputes, the clone army, and of course the best part, the use of fantasy to criticize politics in the IRL.
Every nation in every region now has a decision to make. Either you are with us, or you are with the terrorists.
This is where the fun begins.
If you were around back then, I wasn't, and knew what deodorant was, you probably really liked the prequels at first, possibly even ignoring details like Jar Jar.
Don't do that again.
I mean, come on, who didn't like this? Or this.
To ensure the security and continuing stability, the Republic will be reorganized into the first galactic empire for a safe and secure society.
Or this. Of course, one of the best things a Star Wars game could do back then was give you some monk robes, a stick of death, and some battle droids to slice, and boom! Success. And that's exactly why Republic Commando takes all that abracadabra lightsaber shit and throws it into the trash. Here, you're not a mighty Jedi, nor are you a powerful Sith Lord. You weren't a bounty hunter or a daring rebel. You're a boots-on-the-ground clone trooper tasked with infiltrating behind enemy lines and showing them the wrath of the Republic. Taking away the power fantasy of being a Jedi is core to Republic Commando's game design too. Here, you are not a space wizard jumping around everywhere like a blaster bolt in the Death Star crash compactor. You're a human, and if you sleep up even once, you are fucked.
Delta Lead, are you alright? You just took an anti-infantry round. Your vitals don't look very good.
You can actually tank a lot of damage. As a clone commando, your armor has a personal shield that will slowly deplete as you are shot, and it eventually regenerates. Be careful, however, since once the shield is depleted, you will only be able to tank 2 blaster bolts at best before being incapacitated. And notice that I didn't say dying. In Republic Commando, once your health is depleted, you are thrown to the ground, incapacitated, and you rely on your AI-controlled squad mates to revive you. When I learned that, I'll be honest, I kinda thought the game would be hell. The only thing on my mind was Half-Life OP4's janky AI squad mechanics, and how they just... Thankfully, I was surprised by how Republic Commando dealt with the squad mechanics. As the intro to the game informs us,
you are each a piece of a whole person.
The player, RC-1138, is nothing without his squad. O7, or Sav,
the fiercest hunter of all your brothers.
4O, Fixer,
your foundation, a pure and uncomplicated soldier.
And 6-2, Scorch,
heart and soul of your team.
The gameplay reflects that, and not just because you occasionally need someone shooting clankas while you slice a terminal. The game makes you dependent on your squad in more subtle ways. The best example are super battle droids. They are a relatively common enemy, and they are incredibly tough, unlike what we see in the movies. They can easily tank some 10 sniper rounds before going down. They're armed with blasters that can basically free-shot you, a rocket launcher, and a fucking punch. Fighting one by yourself is one of the most terrifying things possible, but they become trivial when you are in tow of your squad. And this sense of dependence gets to you too. There are entire sections of the game that make it tenser than the elevator cables when your mama steps inside it, just by separating Delta Squad. During the infiltration of the core ship on Geonosis, while walking around all these battle droids, I almost shat my pants. I knew they were on standby, and I knew as long as I didn't shoot at them I was safe, but boy oh boy was I shaking. Then there's also the first few parts of the Prosecutor levels, where you start by infiltrating the Republic assault cruiser separately. It just ramps up that sense of defenselessness that much more. And then, on top of the reliance you build on your squad mates throughout the game, you also grow quite fond of them. They feel like real people. Throughout the game, during several sequences, or sometimes even randomly, they will talk to each other, building on their unique personalities and relations to each other.
Hey, Seb, this one looks like your mother.
Sav is a ruthless warrior, seeming cold-blooded at a distance, but most certainly a good and caring friend. Scorch is a kind of jokester, cracking jokes at every opportunity, but he's also loyal to his brothers. The bulk of the interactions are between Scorch and Sav, who seem to be the best of friends, constantly mocking one another but showing a brotherly love. Fixer, on the other hand, is a more reserved clone, loyal to the Republic and to his duty and nothing more. Delta 38, or Boss, is more reserved than both Sav and Scorch, but he's also more open than Fixer. As you play the game and give out your orders, you get this feeling that Boss's more controlled attitude comes from his sense of responsibility for the man under him. He knows that if he slips up, it will be his squad paying the price, which on the battlefield may often mean death.
Sev, can you read me? Come in, Sev. Blast. 40-6-2, come in. Be on the lookout for armed hostiles. I think we've got Trandoshans. They've taken down 7. Counter squad, come in.
You're 3-8, 40. Keep an eye out. Need you in the front.
Of course, Temuera Morrison's performance as 38 is simply stunning. And while your squad can handle themselves, and I cannot count the number of times I got downed just to watch Delta Squad clear the room by themselves, you can also give them orders. Sure, they will move from cover to cover, take advantage of sniping spots, and make a coordinated advance without any input from the player, but the extra layer of planning and coordination can just about give you the edge to win a specific combat encounter. The best part about the system is that it's really simple and intuitive. See a place to interact, look at it, press E, and you'll have a commando on it immediately. And while on this topic, I think it's pretty cool that the developers brought a veteran to teach the animators how an elite unit of commandos would actually move around hostile territory, how to hold their guns, how to move, how to take cover. Hell, they even got to learn how to move through a door.
I start with something very, very basic. I start with safety rules, 4 safety rules. I go into how to grip a weapon safely, how to draw it, a 5-point draw, how to move with a handgun or a long gun.
That's it.
I try and make it as close as reality as I possibly can.
You know, whenever you're doing this sort of stuff, I can't help but just sit back and watch how this masterfully created AI companions do their job and... Oh my god, bad idea, bad idea, bad idea, bad idea, bad idea!
Droidicus, let me handle this, sir.
Nice work, 07.
The way this game introduces new enemies is really good. In your first encounter with a new enemy, they're always on their own, or looking the other way, or hell, sometimes it's even a scripted event made just to introduce that one mechanic.
Hey, you're a commando. Thank goodness.
What happened here?
I'm not sure. I was scanning the maintenance corridors when I heard blaster fire. By the time I got to where the noise was, everyone was dead.
So you came to the torpedo bay to hide?
No, sir. I was trying to launch a torpedo and alert the Republic. But you're here now, so no need for that, eh?
Look
Thanks
out.
for the rescue.
What a waste of good genes.
When you first encounter, things are always in your favor, and you always feel like a badass. Every other time, though, things get interesting, and you actually have to do something to win. Now, here's where my one big complaint about this game comes in. Well, second biggest. Can't forget the fact you can't have sex with a Wookiee, never forgiving Lucas for that one. But the second complaint is that enemies just soak up damage like it's nothing. Sure, I get doing that to droidicas and to some extent even super battle droids. These are machines made to withstand hundreds of blaster bolts, but when I unload an entire clip on Geonosian elites and they just don't fucking die, it's kind of immersion breaking, you know? Apparently, they go down to a single headshot, but I never managed to pull that off in game. Hey, editing Mike here. I just realized that I actually did that once. But as you soon see, I was so fixated on the thing's butt that I couldn't fathom the idea that I wasn't supposed to deal damage to the bright, obvious, throbbing, orange and clearly unprotected part of the thing. Back to the normal video. I mean, the way they move around like an annoying mosquito probably aims to make that vulnerability harder to exploit, but I find that taking any time to aim at something that I can barely see while it moves at Mach 9 around me and shoots a laser beam that obliterates me in less than 5 fucking seconds. I mean, it's straight up just annoying. Don't get me wrong, I really love the design of the Geonosian beam weapon, especially the sweet and juicy sound of plastic nails tapping on a bike helmet, I guess? Oh my god, it's so good! But I think the game could have benefited a lot if it was not included at all. I mean, that or move the vulnerability to the big, obvious fat ass these insects have. When they die, they even explode and rain ass juices on you. I straight up can't believe that sniping that juicy ass doesn't insta-kill that fella. But yeah, that's my one major complaint about the game. Rant over, back to praising the greatest game to ever exist. I find it pretty nifty how this game was the inspiration for the Clone Wars' clone armor designs. It was actually a suggestion directly from the man himself, George Lucas.
To create this elite warrior, aspects of the original Star Wars design were combined with elements drawn from other inspirations, including Roman gladiators, Navy SEALs, and ninjas. Late in the development cycle, Star Wars creator George Lucas suggested that the Commandos wear color-coded armor to differentiate one from the other, and to capitalize on the visual metaphors he was exploring for Episode 3.
I'm guessing he was beginning to work on a Clone Wars animated movie and thought of the whole clone trooper personality thing. You know, the Clone Wars is kind of a mixed bag for me. I mean, it's decent, but stuff like the inhibitor chips make some stuff seem a lot worse. The old canon actually allowed for some great stuff regarding Order 66. Republic Commando takes some of that and incorporates it into one of the most recognizable parts of the game, Vodean. I'm sorry, I can't pronounce Mandoa, I'm not like that hard of a Star Wars fan. Yet. This is a song composed especially for the game and is the origin of Mandoa as a language. It's the Clone Army's war chant and the lyrics are fire. Like, how can you look up the lyrics, read, "We, the wrath of Coruscant, all brothers," and not love it? Then there's this part. "Those who stand before us light the night sky in flame. Our vengeance burns brighter still. Every last traitorous soul shall kneel.
You'd think they're speaking of the Confederacy, the traitorous souls that wage war against the Republic, right? That's until you remember that the clones were trained by Mandalorian warriors who had a millennial hatred for the Jedi. Clones knew from the beginning they would one day get to carry out the revenge of Mandalore. It is chilling when you think of it that way. So, why should you play Republic Commando? Because it's a game with superb gameplay, incredible writing, and a completely unique spin to what everything Star Wars is all about. Its characters are lovely, the setting is awesome, and because of course this is an unforgettable experience. So go ahead, you can get it for just $4 American during Steam sales. No, 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 no. No, 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 no. No, it's Kashyyyk all over again. No. Also, if you're wondering, I didn't mention General Grievous because, like, that's really related to the fact that the game came out a few months before Episode 3, and it was kind of like a whole marketing stunt, right? Putting General Grievous in and stuff. I don't think it's, like, that relevant nowadays, but that's a cool detail, like, if you want to mention some trivia and stuff, but yeah.